We're recording.
Okay, cool.
Alright, we can
Oh,
clip all this.
okay.
We can just stop it.
Do you think it can hear me?
Oh, wait, stop it and then let's listen to it.
I don't know how to listen. Like, I don't know if you can do that like that while I'm here, you know?
Okay, we can always
Like,
put
probably on a
captions on the
computer.
bottom.
Yeah.
If we know how to do that.
Maybe Caleb is just really good at this stuff. Okay. Do I go here? Okay.
Do you want me to talk into the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just get closer
I'll
so
be
you
right
can hear
here.
me.
Just like
Okay.
talk to me.
Okay.
This is Keegan Lim, a 12th grade. I
Rachel,
stuttered.
please don't mess up.
I won't. I'll start over. Well, we can clip. We're gonna have to clip it anyways. Okay. This is Keegan Lim, a 12th grader at Oshkosh West High School. Today we are interviewing him on his journey with depression. This interview is for the school newspaper. To begin, what does depression mean to you?
Depression to me is when you are mentally ill and that sickness takes over various parts of your life and changes who you are into someone that you're not, basically. And I think that there's a common misconception that depression is an emotion that you feel, or it's some type of feeling that you can express, when in actuality depression to me is something much more serious than that. And I think that it's very important to remember that when talking about the consequences and the symptoms regarding this depression.
When and how did you know you were depressed?
I knew I was depressed in 8th grade, and I really knew that I was depressed before I knew it was depression, and I mean that in the way that my sleeping habits slowly changed, and I slowly stopped eating, and I slowly started to isolate myself. And at that time, I never thought that I was depressed until someone confronted me about it. And then it was at that point that I had realized that I had been fighting a battle for, years on end.
Did you ever feel like you couldn't fit in?
Absolutely. I think that while I felt like I couldn't fit in a lot, I also felt like not a lot of people knew that. It wasn't directly known and upfront that, I didn't have friends or that I wasn't connecting to people the way that I should. I think that a lot of people thought I was okay, and on the inside it was a more internal battle where I thought even if I was in a group of friends or eating lunch or, conversing with peers, I still felt like I was in a separate circle, like I was in some way detached from the people that I've been associating with.
When you first started feeling this way, did you tell your friends?
Absolutely not. I think that if I were to be comfortable telling my friends, I don't know if those emotions would have been what they were, because they were so serious and so foreign to what I had known to be normal, that it was very scary dealing with them on my own, let alone sharing my problems with other people.
Did your parents ever express concern?
It took a while for my parents to realize what I was going through, and I think it took them almost as long as it took me to realize what I was going through, but they were definitely concerned once they realized the severity of my mental health, and I think they were most concerned that I wasn't who they thought their son to be. Their main concern was that I would lose the parts of myself that made me me, and I think that they were so afraid that, as I look back on it, I wonder if they, when you're depressed, everyone in your life goes through symptoms in their own way because they know you. So just like I had to deal with the symptoms of depression, I think my parents had to deal with that too, and I think that they managed them in a completely different way, but it was very difficult. They had their own battle that they had to have with me as their son.
And before treatment, how did you go about solving the problem?
Before treatment, it was a lot of long nights in my bed alone, restless, a lot of sad music, a lot of alternative punk, a lot of dark poetry, and I remember I sought comfort and acceptance from a lot of the shows that I watched and a lot of the music that I listened to. For example, like Will and Grace, or Skins, or shows that deal with homophobia and depression and suicide and this, that, and the other. Those were really they were really strong indicators that I wasn't alone. In a world where I felt alone, I could reach out to people that I didn't even know and that didn't know me, but I knew that what I was feeling wasn't necessarily wrong. How could me being depressed be wrong if they were talking about it on TV? It gave me some sort of belief that what I was going through wasn't the first time anyone's gone through it before.
When did you decide that you needed professional treatment?
I decided I needed professional treatment when Pandora's box was open, pretty much. I remember I had been self-harming for a couple months, and it was around Christmas, and that's why I'm such a Scrooge, I think. But I got into a fight with my parents, and it all came out that I was self-harming, and that I was depressed, and that my sleeping habits and my eating schedule, everything was off. And I think that's when we all decided that it had gotten to the point where it wasn't a problem I could solve on my own anymore. It was a problem that needed professional help.
How was your experience with the treatment?
My experience was really beneficial, and it was really, really healthy. I was seeing a psychiatrist at the time, and he expressed concern that I was in danger of myself, and so I was admitted to a psych ward in Oconomowoc called Rogers State Memorial Hospital, and it was really scary being confined to one level, not being able to go outside for a week, not being able to see my parents. And in that moment, it seemed like such a negative experience, but I look back on it as such an important turning point in my life. And I thank God for every single one of those nurses and doctors and friends and family members that were there for me, because I think that my treatment experience made it all worthwhile. It made me and my perspective and my knowledge and passion and compassion grow 12 times stronger.
After you left the hospital, did you tell your friends?
I didn't tell my friends for a really long time. As I was talking to Ezreen earlier, and I mentioned that, as time has progressed, I've become more comfortable to the point where now I can openly discuss it. But there was a 2-point period where no one, even my closest friends, knew that I had gone to the hospital, or that, I suffered with depression, or that I was on, antidepressants. And I think that I've realized that as I've opened up about my past struggles, the future with my current relationships has become a lot stronger, and they seem a lot more solidified, because they know, another part about me, and I think that that's really important, that they know what I've gone through to see where I'm going.
Did you feel like your life changed?
Absolutely. And it makes me so happy that it did. And I think the biggest thing that changed out of everything was my perspective. I remember having such a tunnel vision, and I remember seeing only one solution, and that was, or two options really, and that was to not be happy or to not be at all. And now I'm so excited. I'm so excited for college and to start a family and, to see the world. And it blows my mind that I could have ever been, so oblivious to all that the world has to offer. I'm 100% happier and better off after. Yes, of course.
So you feel like you made the right decision seeking treatment?
I would not like to fathom for a second where I would be right now if I didn't seek treatment.
Do you wish you would have gotten help sooner?
I do. I really do. From middle school, from 6th grade to 8th grade, I I lost a lot of relationships, and I think that I did real significant damage to my self-esteem and to my mental health. And although I've made amazing progress, I think that if I would have sought treatment earlier, if I would have known what I was going through, and if I would have known the best way to execute getting help, I think that I would have absolutely gotten help sooner, and I wish that I would have.
How are you today, and do you still have episodes? And if so, how do you deal with them?
I'm much better today. I'm much more level-headed. My ups are less high, and my downs are less low, and I think that that has made a huge impact on my grades and my social skills. As for still confronting or interacting with depression, it's an everyday struggle. You consistently doubt yourself, and you doubt a million things. You doubt whether or not it's the medication making you happy. You doubt whether or not people can see it. You doubt whether or not you're relapsing, whether or not you will, whether or not you'll make it through the winter because of the lack of, you know what I mean? But you just, somewhere in the big scheme of things, or in the big picture and the whole, progression from me being depressed to me being not depressed, you just, you stop trying. You stop trying to be happy, and it just effortlessly comes to you. And I think that that is my biggest supporter. When I'm doubting myself or I'm feeling down, I remind myself, that where I was is not where I am. And to not have to try to be happy is one of the best feelings in the world.
Does it ever make you mad when people misuse the word depressed as an emotion when it is actually a disease?
I wouldn't say mad. It makes me eager. It makes me eager to teach them and to inform them about everything that depression entails. And if that's their opinion, that's that's absolutely okay. But I think that it's hard to respect the word and what it carries if you haven't seen it firsthand, not even experienced it, gone through it yourself. But if you haven't been fully, if you haven't been fully taught on what it means to truly be depressed, I just don't think that they're aware. I think that, it's hard to not, you can't, you know what I mean? It's hard to be sensitive about it when they don't know that it can be offensive. So when people, kind of misconstrue what depression is, I just get, I see it as an opportunity to, broaden their horizon.
And what advice would you like to give to people battling with depression?
My number one piece of advice is that no pain lasts forever, no matter how, what it is, no matter how much pain, no matter what it comes from. Time heals all wounds. I think that's one of the true statements that's ever been made. And to people in depression, I know what it's like to be in that moment and think that you'll never be happy. But if you give it time, slowly but surely, with effort and patience, anyone can get better, anyone at all. So my biggest piece of advice would just be to have faith, to keep going, to look at me and everyone else who's overcome their battles and know that we're all in support of what you're doing. And I never knew it, but there are hundreds and thousands of people who are willing to support you for whatever you believe in. You just have to be willing to reach out.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Of course.
How do you stop it?